Chapter 14. Now in the 163 year, King Demetrius gathered his forces together, and went into Media to get him help to fight against Tryphon. But when Arsaces, the king of Persia and Media, heard that Demetrius was entered within his borders, he sent one of his princes to take him alive, who went and smote the host of Demetrius, and took him, and brought him to Arsaces, by whom he was put in ward. As for the land of Judea, that was quiet all the days of Simon, for he sought the good of his nation in such wise as that evermore his authority and honor pleased them well. And as he was honorable in all his acts, so in this, that he took Joppa for an haven, and made an entrance to the isles of the sea, and enlarged the bounds of his nation, and recovered the country, and gathered together a great number of captives, and had the dominion of Gazara and Bethsura and the tower, out of the which he took all uncleanness, neither was there any that resisted him. Then they did till their ground in peace, and the earth gave her increase, and the trees of the field their fruit. The ancient men sat all in the streets, communing together of good things, and the young men put on glorious and warlike apparel. He provided victuals for the cities, and set in them all manner of munition, so that his honorable name was renowned unto the end of the world. He made peace in the land, and Israel rejoiced with great joy. For every man sat under his vine and his fig tree, and there was none to fray them. Neither was there any left in the land to fight against them. Yea, the kings themselves were overthrown in those days. Moreover, he strengthened all those of his people that were brought low. The law he searched out, and every contemner of the law and wicked person he took away. He beautified the sanctuary, and multiplied vessels of the temple. Now, when it was heard at Rome, and as far as Sparta, that Jonathan was dead, they were very sorry. But as soon as they heard that his brother Simon was made high priest in his stead, and ruled the country and the cities therein, they wrote unto him in tables of brass to renew the friendship and league which they had made with Judas and Jonathan his brethren, which writings were read before the congregation at Jerusalem. And this is the copy of the letters that the Lacedaemonians sent. The rulers of the Lacedaemonians with the city, unto Simon the high priest and the elders and priests and residue of the people of the Jews, our brethren, send greeting. The ambassadors that were sent unto our people certified us of your glory and honor, wherefore we were glad of their coming, and did register the things that they spake in the council of the people in this manner. Numenius, son of Antiochus, and Antipater, son of Jason, the Jews' ambassadors, came unto us to renew the friendship they had with us. And it pleased the people to entertain the men honorably, and to put the copy of their ambassage in public records, to the end the people of the Lacedaemonians might have a memorial thereof. Furthermore, we have written a copy thereof unto Simon the high priest. After this, Simon sent Numenius to Rome with a great shield of gold of 1,000 pound weight, to confirm the league with them. Whereof when the people heard, they said, What thanks shall we give to Simon and his sons? For he and his brethren and the house of his father have established Israel, and chased away in fight their enemies from them, and confirmed their liberty. So then they wrote it in tables of brass, which they set upon pillars in Mount Sion. And this is the copy of the writing. The 18th day of the month Elul, in the 163 year, being the 3rd year of Simon the high priest, at Saramel, in the great congregation of the priests and people and rulers of the nation and elders of the country, were these things notified unto us. Forasmuch as oftentimes there have been wars in the country, wherein for the maintenance of their sanctuary and the law, Simon the son of Mattathias, of the posterity of Jarib, together with his brethren, put themselves in jeopardy, and resisting the enemies of their nation, did their nation great honor. For after that Jonathan, having gathered his nation together and been their high priest, was added to his people, their enemies prepared to invade their country, that they might destroy it and lay hands on the sanctuary. At which time Simon rose up and fought for his nation, and spent much of his own substance, and armed the valiant men of his nation, and gave them wages, and fortified the cities of Judea, together with Bethsura, that lieth upon the borders of Judea, where the armor of their enemies had been before, but he set a garrison of Jews there. Moreover, he fortified Joppa, which lieth upon the sea, and Gazara, that bordereth upon Azotus, where the enemies had dwelt before, but he placed Jews there, and furnished them with all things convenient for the reparation thereof. The people therefore sang the acts of Simon, and to what glory he thought to bring his nation, made him their governor and chief priest, because he had done all these things, and for the justice and faith which he kept to his nation, and for that he sought by all means to exalt his people. For in his time things prospered in his hands, so that the heathen were taken out of their country, and they also that were in the city of David in Jerusalem, who had made themselves a tower, out of which they issued, and polluted all about the sanctuary, and did much hurt in the holy place. But he placed Jews therein, and fortified it for the safety of the country and the city, and raised up the walls of Jerusalem. King Demetrius also confirmed him in the high priesthood according to those things, and made him one of his friends, and honored him with great honor. For he had heard say that the Romans had called the Jews their friends and confederates and brethren, and that they had entertained the ambassadors of Simon honorably. Also that the Jews and priests were well pleased that Simon should be their governor and high priest forever, until there should arise a faithful prophet. Moreover, that he should be their captain, and should take charge of the sanctuary, to set them over their works, and over the country, and over the armor, and over the fortresses, that, I say, he should take charge of the sanctuary. Besides this, that he should be obeyed of every man, and that all the writings in the country should be made in his name, and that he should be clothed in purple, and wear gold. Also, that it should be lawful for none of the people or priests to break any of these things, or to gainsay his words, or to gather an assembly in the country without him, or to be clothed in purple, or wear a buckle of gold. And whosoever should do otherwise, or break any of these things, he should be punished. Thus it liked all the people to deal with Simon, and to do as hath been said. Then Simon accepted hereof, and was well pleased to be high priest, and captain, and governor of the Jews and priests, and to defend them all. So they commanded that this writing should be put in tables of brass, and that they should be set up within the compass of the sanctuary in a conspicuous place. Also that the copies thereof should be laid up in the treasury, to the end that Simon and his sons might have them. Chapter 15. Moreover, Antiochus, son of Demetrius the king, sent letters from the isles of the sea unto Simon the priest and prince of the Jews, and to all the people. The contents whereof were these: King Antiochus, to Simon the high priest and prince of his nation, and to the people of the Jews, greeting. Forasmuch as certain pestilent men have usurped the kingdom of our fathers, and my purpose is to challenge it again, that I may restore it to the old estate, and to that end have gathered a multitude of foreign soldiers together, and prepared ships of war. My meaning also being to go through the country, that I may be avenged of them that have destroyed it, and made many cities in the kingdom desolate. Now therefore I confirm unto thee all the oblations which the kings before me granted thee, and whatsoever gifts besides they granted. I give thee leave also to coin money for thy country with thine own stamp. And as concerning Jerusalem and the sanctuary, let them be free, and all the armor that thou hast made, and the fortresses that thou hast built, and keepest in thine hands, let them remain unto thee. And if anything be or shall be owing to the king, let it be forgiven thee from this time forth for evermore. Furthermore, when we have obtained our kingdom, we will honor thee and thy nation and thy temple with great honor, so that your honor shall be known throughout the world. In the 114th year went Antiochus into the land of his fathers, at which time all the forces came together unto him, so that few were left with Tryphon. Wherefore, being pursued by King Antiochus, he fled unto Dora, which lieth by the seaside, for he saw that troubles came upon him all at once, and that his forces had forsaken him. Then camped Antiochus against Dora, having with him 120,000 men of war, and 8,000 horsemen. And when he had compassed the city round about, and joined ships close to the town on the seaside, he vexed the city by land and by sea, neither suffered he any to go out or in. In the mean season came Numenius and his company from Rome, having letters to the kings and countries, wherein were written these things. Lucius, consul of the Romans, unto King Ptolemy, greeting. The Jews' ambassadors, our friends and confederates, came unto us to renew the old friendship and league, being sent from Simon the high priest, and from the people of the Jews. And they brought a shield of gold of 1,000 pounds. We thought it good, therefore, to write unto the kings and countries that they should do them no harm, nor fight against them, their cities or countries, nor yet aid their enemies against them. It seemed also good to us to receive the shield of them. If therefore there be any pestilent fellows that have fled from their country unto you, deliver them unto Simon the high priest, that he may punish them according to their own law. The same things wrote he likewise unto Demetrius the king, and Attalus, to Areathes, and Asarches, and to all the countries, and to Sampsames, and the Lacedaemonians, and to Delos, and Mindus, and Sychion, and Caria, and Samos, and Pamphylia, and Lycia, and Halicarnassus, and Rhodus, and Aradus, and Cos, and Sidon, and Aradus, and Gortnia, and Cnidus, and Cyprus, and Cyrene. And the copy hereof they wrote to Simon the high priest. So Antiochus the king camped against Dora the second day, assaulting it continually, and making engines, by which means he shut up Tryphon, that he could neither go out nor in. At that time Simon sent him 2,000 chosen men to aid him, silver also, and gold, and much armor. Nevertheless he would not receive them, but brake all the covenants which he had made with him afore, and became strange unto him. Furthermore he sent unto him Athenobius, one of his friends, to commune with him, and say, Ye withhold Joppa and Garzara, with the tower that is in Jerusalem, which are cities in my realm. The borders thereof ye have wasted, and done great hurt in the land, and got the dominion of many places within my kingdom. Now therefore deliver the cities which ye have taken, and the tributes of the places whereof ye have gotten dominion, without the borders of Judea. Or else give me for them 500 talents of silver, and for the harm that ye have done, and the tributes of the cities, other 500 talents. If not, we will come and fight against you. So Athenobius the king's friend came to Jerusalem, and when he saw the glory of Simon, and the cupboard of gold and silver plate, and his great attendants, he was astonished, and told him the king's message. Then answered Simon, and said unto him, We have neither taken other men's land, nor holden that which appertaineth to others, but the inheritance of our fathers, which our enemies had wrongfully in possession a certain time. Wherefore we, having opportunity, hold the inheritance of our fathers. And whereas thou demandest Joppa and Garzara, albeit they did great harm unto the people in our country, yet will we give thee 100 talents for them. Hereunto Athenobius answered him not a word, but returned in a rage to the king, and made report unto him of these speeches, and of the glory of Simon, and of all that he had seen. Whereupon the king was exceeding wroth. In the meantime fled Tryphon by ship unto Orthius. Then the king made Sendebeus captain of the seacoast, and gave him an host of footmen and horsemen, and commanded him to remove his host toward Judea. Also he commanded him to build up Cedron, and to fortify the gates, and to war against the people. But as for the king himself, he pursued Tryphon. So Sendebeus came to Jamnia, and began to provoke the people, and to invade Judea, and to take people prisoners, and slay them. And when he had built up Cedru, he set horsemen there, and an host of footmen, to the end that, issuing out, they might make outroads upon the ways of Judea, as the king had commanded him. Chapter 16. Then came up John from Garzara, and told Simon his father what Sendebeus had done. Wherefore Simon called his 2 eldest sons, Judas and John, and said unto them, I and my brethren and my father's house have ever from my youth unto this day fought against the enemies of Israel. And things have prospered so well in our hands, that we have delivered Israel oftentimes. But now I am old, and ye, by God's mercy, are of a sufficient age. Be ye instead of me and my brother, and go and fight for our nation, and the help from heaven be with you. So he chose out of the country 20,000 men of war with horsemen, who went out against Sendebeus, and rested that night at Modin. And when, as they arose in the morning, and went into the plain, behold, a mighty great host, both of footmen and horsemen, came against them. Howbeit, there was a water brook betwixt them. So he and his people pitched over against them. And when he saw that the people were afraid to go over the water brook, he went first over himself, and then the men, seeing him, passed through after him. That done, he divided his men, and set the horsemen in the midst of the footmen, for the enemy's horsemen were very many. Then sounded they with the holy trumpets, whereupon Sendebeus and his host were put to flight, so that many of them were slain, and the remnant gat them to the stronghold. At that time was Judas, John's brother, wounded. But John still followed after them until he came to Cedron, which Sendebeus had built. So they fled even unto the towers in the fields of Azotus, wherefore he burned it with fire, so that there was slain of them about 2,000 men. Afterward he returned into the land of Judea in peace. Moreover, in the plain of Jericho was Ptolemaeus the son of Abibus made captain, and he had abundance of silver and gold, for he was the high priest's son-in-law. Wherefore, his heart being lifted up, he thought to get the country to himself, and thereupon consulted deceitfully against Simon and his sons to destroy them. Now Simon was visiting the cities that were in the country, and taking care for the good ordering of them, at which time he came down himself to Jericho with his sons Mattathias and Judas, in the 117th year, in the 11th month, called Sabbat, where the son of Abibus receiving them deceitfully into a little hold called Docus, which he had built, made them a great banquet. Howbeit he had hid men there. So when Simon and his sons had drunk largely, Ptolemy and his men rose up and took their weapons and came upon Simon into the banqueting place and slew him, and his 2 sons, and certain of his servants, in which doing he committed a great treachery, and recompensed evil for good. Then Ptolemy wrote these things, and sent to the king that he should send him an host to aid him, and he would deliver him the country and cities. He sent others also to Garzara to kill John. And unto the tribunes he sent letters to come unto him, that he might give them silver and gold and rewards. And others he sent to take Jerusalem and the mountain of the temple. Now one had run afore to Gaza, and told John that his father and brethren were slain. And, quoth he, Ptolemy hath sent to slay thee also. Hereof when he heard, he was sore astonished. So he laid hands on them that were come to destroy him, and slew them, for he knew that they sought to make him away. As concerning the rest of the acts of John, and his wars, and worthy deeds which he did, and the building of the walls which he made, and his doings, behold, these are written in the chronicles of his priesthood, from the time he was made high priest after his father.
So when you see, standing in the holy place, the abomination that causes desolation, spoken of through the prophet Daniel, let the reader understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let no one on the housetop go down to take anything out of the house. Let no one in the field go back to get their cloak. How dreadful it will be in those days for pregnant women and nursing mothers. Pray that your flight will not take place in winter or on the Sabbath, for then there will be great distress, unequaled from the beginning of the world until now, and never to be equaled again. If those days had not been cut short, no one would survive, but for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened. At that time, if anyone says to you, Look, here is the Messiah, or there he is, do not believe it. For false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. See, I have told you in advance.
I wondered, should I go or should I stay? The band had only one more song to play, and then I saw you at the corner of my eye. A little girl alone and so shy. I had the last waltz with you. Two lonely people together. I fell in love with you. The last waltz should last forever. But the love we had was going strong. Through the good and bad we'd get along. And then the flame of love died in your eyes. My heart was broken too when you said goodbye.